James to India. One of my regrets at having left my rapporteur work is that I was leaving just when James was arriving at the Human Rights Council, and I regret not being able to work with him, but I think we will find other ways of working. Suhas has already apologized for my coming late, and I'd like to myself apologize for leaving very soon after, because I have there's another special rapporteur here, Yakin Ertuk, rapporteur on violence against women, and we're having a session coincidentally just across the room with her on the link between housing and land rights and evictions and violence against women, and I have to chair that session, so I will be leaving, and I apologize for that. Let me just reflect for a few minutes on the role of national institutions. I would like to say, however, that I think we need to have a more broader inclusionary kind of an approach, both in terms of institutions and in terms of instruments of human rights. By that I mean that well, Suhas, you're correct about national human rights institutions hogging the limelight in a sense. I think it's very important that we do include them and pressurize them and monitor their work in upholding the rights of indigenous and tribal peoples. And I think this is something that slowly is happening, and there is great scope for more work from institutions. Similarly, I think that I very much welcome and am delighted with the progress made by the Declaration of Indigenous Peoples. But I also think that the international instruments that exist, the covenants, the conventions, also give us a very strong basis to struggle for the rights of indigenous people. I'll just give you one example. There's an optional protocol, a complaint mechanism to the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, which has been adopted by the Human Rights Council. It's going to go before the UN General Assembly, I think later this year. If that comes through, it gives us a major opportunity to file complaints and bring up cases before the UN Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. So it's very important for us to, in the kinds of situation in which we are, where overwhelmingly we have evidence that violations against all peoples, and of course disproportionately against indigenous peoples, are increasing, I think we need to find all ways possible to address those and to overcome them. In my work as Special Rapporteur, I was Special Rapporteur for 7 years, and I did 13 missions around the world, including 3 in Asia, in Cambodia, Afghanistan, and in Australia. My experience, actually, I think that national institutions are a natural counterpart for Special Rapporteurs. They are very, very useful in many ways, and some James has already touched upon, but let me refer to some others. When we carry out missions, the national institutions become a very important place where we have a space actually for our work. In my missions, I found an opportunity to engage with national institutions, for them to organize also human rights education seminars, to take up work on standard setting. And I think that is and also it's very important the role that human rights institutions play in following up to missions or to visits, such as the one that James and Yakin are doing here to India, in terms of carrying forward the work of recommendations that rapporteurs have made. I also find it very useful that in the standard setting work, the work of human rights institutions. Some of you may know we worked for 4 years to come up with UN guidelines on development and market-based displacement. These guidelines were published in my report last year at the Council, but already 2 national human rights institutions have taken them up, are translating them, are using them as human rights education material, and it's very important the role that human rights institutions can play, both in terms of existing standard setting and also new standard setting. And I think the point that James made about expanding the notion of rights, which is not really an expansion for indigenous peoples, but for many others, to the area of self-determination. I think it's very important that human rights institutions are made aware of that and made to understand what they can do with standard setting. It's also very important, in my experience, we have also found that human rights institutions can contribute to the development of curricula, human rights education. Whatever work I've followed, they haven't really taken up actively the issue of indigenous rights. So those are some of the comments that I had. I think that it's very important that all of us continue to engage with UN Special Rapporteurs. One of the very positive memories that I have of my work in the last years there was the possibility to actually engage with a number of rapporteurs in collective work. And I think that all of you, it would be very good if you, of course, James has to lead the work, and I think we have an excellent person who is doing this. But it's very important for you to relate with the rapporteurs on food, on health, on housing, on violence against women. And there is a mechanism in the UN now where there is much more coordination amongst the rapporteurs, both in terms of taking up joint communications, joint missions, and taking up specific cases as well. So I think that how that is to be done is perhaps something that could be touched on also today. So I'd like to thank very much for the invitation, and I'll try and come back in the afternoon, but I apologize, I'll have to leave in a few minutes. Thank you very much.